Ricky, don't lose that number. Send it off in a letter to yourself. Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the only one you want.
We lost another icon of the 80s this week. John Mahoney died Sunday, February 4th at age 77 in his beloved city of Chicago. The actor had beaten cancer twice in his life, but ultimately it was throat cancer that took him from us. But he died doing what he loved. He was still performing on stage at his beloved Steppenwolf Theater. And yet, when 80s Nation thinks of him, he takes on much different forms. He was Diane Court's loving but crooked dad in Say Anything. He was the seasoned but maybe naive manager of the Chicago Black Sox in 8 Men Out. And he was an aging college professor who had his eye on the female students in Moonstruck. Brad, when you think of John Mahoney and the work he did in the 80s, what to you stands out? Like, what's his signature role?
You know what? I think he was one of the great supporting guys in the 80s. And the roles that I think jump out to, so of course, everybody's going to run to Say Anything, but I think he's really good in Tin Men. He's kind of a member of Richard Dreyfuss's crew of, miscreants trying to trick people into buying tin siding for their houses. And he's good in that role. And of course, we just talked about Moonstruck. And I think he brings a perspective to that movie that otherwise, the mom's character wouldn't have had any place to go without that conversation with John Mahoney's character. So, I mean, I think he's maybe a little underappreciated, a little underutilized. If you look at his IMDb list, the guy's just been busy.
Yeah.
But those are the things that I remember right away, especially, and I know I talked about Tin Men on a show a year or so ago. I really like that movie, and so I remember him in that very well.
Like you said, we just covered Moonstruck back in December. It's episode 436 if you want to go back and listen to it. But I think you can make the argument that Olympia Dukakis does not win an Oscar if not for that scene that she has and the interplay that she has with Mahoney.
Yeah, I agree. They needed that scene in the movie, and she needed that scene for her character to have that kind of conversation with him and with us, really. I mean, that's what it's really with. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think he's instrumental to that.
There's another great movie he was in that people never name check him for, and that's Suspect, where he plays the spoiler alert, he's a villainous judge in that, opposite Cher. And I think it's Dennis Quaid.
That guy's always working with the Cher.
Yeah. He's got this great role, and you just don't ever suspect for a minute that he's the villain until the very end. And then you're like, oh my God, big time twist at the end.
I vaguely remember that movie.
It was a good movie. I mean, Cher, we always talk about Moonstruck, but Cher had other great flicks. And like you said, he was in so many other things. He was in The Manhattan Project. He was in Frantic. He was in Betrayed. He was in Suspect. And then, of course, we all know him as Frasier's dad. And if you want to make a point, you could say that's a spinoff of an 80s TV show because it is. It's a spinoff of, Cheers.
Yep. One of the few spinoffs that actually grew legs and had a life of its own.
It's like you say, I think a lot of people are going to come back to Say Anything. And I think he had one of the more interesting roles in that movie because he's the loving dad. He'll do anything for his daughter, Ione Skye. In fact, he does too much for her, and ends up going to jail. And you get that amazing scene where he's in prison and John Cusack comes to visit him. And Cameron Crowe, who directed Say Anything, he wrote a piece today in Rolling Stone. And it's this nice, really short tribute. But he talks a lot about that one scene.
Okay.
And he says, quote, John Mahoney's laugh wasn't just a laugh. It was a 2-note foghorn, a call to arms that said, that's right. When it's good, it's fun. He said, quote, the scene was fraught with tension. We discussed many different tonal versions, deciding on a quiet one. We stood out by the barbed prison fence. I called action. How you doing, Lloyd? Asked Jim Court, almost tenderly. Mahoney then used all his character frustration, love, and pain he'd been building up for the entire shoot in the movie and just yelled, I'm incarcerated, Lloyd. Crow says, that moment and John Cusack's reaction is one of the moments I'll be forever grateful for. They sure made a young director feel good. And when the take was over, you know what happened? The laugh. And it was loud.
That's so awesome. God, that is so awesome.
Cameron Crowe can write. I think one of the things that people didn't realize about John Mahoney, he was British. He was born British.
I had no idea. You're kidding.
No, from Blackpool. Moved to America as a teenager. Became a U.S. citizen in the late 50s. Started out teaching English at college and later edited a medical journal before he just decided he was unhappy with his life and wanted to take it in a different direction. I know that feeling.
Wow. Good for him.
He went and started trying out at theaters in the Chicago area, and John Malkovich was there and encouraged him. And, it just went on from there. And
that's amazing.
As it would turn out, when he left Frasier, he pretty much bid that role goodbye. He wouldn't show up for the reunions or anything. To him, the job was over.
Okay.
And he went back to Chicago, the city he loved so much. And he lived the rest of his life there, and he did theater work.
Nice. Good, honest acting, Spears.
It is.
Good, honest acting.
Fantastic. I really, that's a life to be proud of.
I agree.
One of the things we've done over the years here at Stuck in the 80s, Say Anything is one of those movies we've celebrated over and over and over again in a bunch of different contexts. One of the very first episodes we ever did on the show back in 2005 was a tribute podcast to Say Anything. And I'm sure it lasted about 15 minutes long because that's how long the shows were back in those days.
Well, yeah,
we didn't know what we were doing. So you and I and our good friend Carol Jansen in 2014, we did another podcast on Say Anything when the movie turned 25. And we'd like to play that podcast for you today as our final tribute to John Mahoney. But before we do, I want to go back to the final interview he gave back in October 2017. And he talks about cancer and the effect it had on his life. He said, quote, "When I was told I had cancer, I said, I don't care. Let's do whatever we need to do to beat it. It's not going to get me." In 2014, he was diagnosed again with cancer, this time in his throat. Doctor said it was inoperable. But ultimately, John said it was acting that helped cure him. He said, quote, "I think it took over my healing an awful lot. I refuse to yield to it because I love what I'm doing so much. I refuse to sit at home and feel sorry for myself. Instead, I just want to get out there and do another job," unquote. John, we're going to miss you. Without further ado, here's our podcast tribute to one of your finest works, Say Anything, recorded back in 2014. Enjoy it, everyone.
Travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the advice,
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
the comebacks,
Why didn't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
and the technology.
Are you telling me you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Can you say stuck in the 80s?
I'm gonna take out Diane Court again.
Well, that's unlikely.
I've glimpsed our future, and all I can say is, go back.
Diane Court doesn't go out with guys like you. She's a brain.
Trapped in the body of a game show hostess.
I get so lost sometimes.
I got a question. If you guys know so much about women, how come you're here at like a gas and sip on a Saturday night completely alone drinking beers? No women anywhere.
By choice, man.
That's right, man.
It's a conscious choice.
It's a choice, man.
Choosing to be here.
I don't want to be here. I'm choosing it.
I'd rather in my
Nobody thought we'd do this. Nobody really thinks it will work, do they?
No. You just described every great success story.
all my instincts, they return.
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Steve Spears, and today we honor the 25th anniversary of Say Anything.
I'm sorry. It's just you're a really nice guy, and we don't want to see you get hurt.
I want to get hurt.
With me, as always, Brad in L.A.
Steve, I will neither buy, sell, nor process this podcast.
No, nobody should. And special guest host today, Carol Jansen.
Hey, world, check me out.
the name
this is
of the
Dare to Be Great moment.
Yeah, that's so obscure. That's the name of Ione Sky's graduation speech, right?
No, soaring.
Oh God. Well, there you go. I see. I've obviously done Cracker Jack research for this show.
In that you ate a lot of Cracker Jacks?
Yeah. So fans at home might be asking themselves, wait a minute, didn't you guys already do a Say Anything podcast? Well, yes, we did 9 years ago.
Open up the vault.
Episode number 6.
Right there next to all the dusty Jack Daniels bottles.
Wild turkey
bottles.
Although it might have been Jack Daniels back then.
Jack Turkey.
I don't know.
It's kind of an off-brand.
So much of my brain's missing since then. But yeah, we did episode 6 back in, 2005?
Mm-hmm.
So 2005? Oh, my God.
2005.
August 2005.
Oh, my God. That was 1 month after my high school reunion, my 20th reunion. So that was back in the days when we thought Stuck in the 80s might last 10 episodes. So we better get the 10 most important things covered right away.
Well, yeah, you want to hit go for the low-hanging fruit, right?
Right. Has anyone listened to that show lately?
I listened to it last night on the drive home.
As did I.
Okay, here's the words I'm about to say that I will immediately regret. How does it hold up?
It was only 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's short. There's no segments. There's no hey at the top.
Ah,
but
Gina was cool.
Yeah.
You had another special guest.
Yeah, who you didn't allow to speak for 10, 15 minutes.
Who was it?
Podcast. I mean, it was
Christine, somebody, a fan of John Cusack.
Oh, my God. Christine Koicha, yeah.
You treated her like Bob Uecker treats the best color man in baseball at Major League.
No, you got to, Christine was someone I worked with. Literally worked right next to me. And she's a very quiet person in general.
Yeah.
And anytime you put a microphone in front of someone for the first time for a podcast, they get even more quiet.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yeah. Look at Sean Daly's first podcast on Stuck in the 80s. I don't think he talked. For 6 minutes he didn't say a word. So
it's a little lower key, maybe a little lower energy, but you guys are finding your way. It's not bad.
I don't think I want to go back. I couldn't bring myself to listen to it.
No. Diane Court says, go back. Go back.
Actually, can we start talking about the movie?
Yeah.
That cracked me up because that seemed so note on for a high school graduation speech that the person who was writing it thought it was hilarious, and everybody else in the class is like, can we just finish this up? I'm not responding. I'm not paying attention. Zero feedback from the crowd,
Except for the dad laughing.
Except for the dad who was like, that's hilarious.
That's my girl.
That's my girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's considered a romantic comedy drama because there's so many of those. And it was Cameron Crowe's first directorial effort.
Okay, how you doing? Hello? I'm Lloyd. And we're going to watch this movie, Cocoon. I've never actually seen it, but I hear it's very good. I hear it makes you very happy, so I figure that's a good thing, good film to see. One that makes you happy. It's about a group of older people who go to outer space. I hope I didn't give anything away there.
Say Anything is ranked by Entertainment Weekly as one of the best high school movies of all time, ranking at number 11 on their list of the 50 best high school movies of all time. Number 1, anyone want to guess what the number 1 high school movie of all time is?
Fast Times?
Yeah, I was going to say Fast Times, but maybe Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2.
It's deeper.
Number 2 is Fast Times. And then Heather's 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller all come before Say Anything on the list.
Wrong.
That's I don't understand that. I like those films, but I think Say Anything is a better high school depiction of where people are kind of mentally at high school.
It brings up a good question, but because do you even really consider this a high school movie since only about maybe 2 minutes of it actually happens in high school?
Yeah, I think the summer after your senior year, you're kind of in the no man's land to some extent, but you're still kind of a high schooler. You haven't gone through the changes of going off to college and doing what you want and whatever yet. So, yeah, I think you're still a high schooler.
Yeah, although Lloyd said he was 19, that's a little old for high school, but it was it was definitely a high school genre.
Didn't he say he was overseas with his family, and that's why he was? Yeah, so it wasn't that he was held back because of
special.
Does Carol? Do you remember where you were when you first saw this movie?
I was here in Washington because it was 1989 when it came out. So I have the fortunate ability to say that I have been on a date and eaten at Bell Square. So,
oh my God,
check you out.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have you on this show, because you bring credibility, which is otherwise completely lacking.
What is Bell Square? Is it a mall?
Bellevue Square is here in Bellevue. It's the mall. There's, about 4 or 5 big malls in the area.
Is that where they shared a meal?
That's where they shared a meal, although it's geographically completely inconsistent with the film, but rarely are they.
Suspend a little disbelief there, huh?
Yeah. I like it, though. I'll go off on a little tangent here, though, but I like it when the city has a role in the movie, but they didn't show any of Seattle's great features. Westlake Center, when they did the drive-by, that's where she broke up with me. But they didn't show the Space Needle. They showed a little bit of the water. There wasn't anything of a feature. When I saw about last night, they did the great scenes of Chicago, but Seattle was just an uncredited player here.
Well, I think that's part of the appeal of the movie is it's not about the place, it's about the character.
Right.
So that it could have been. I mean, I think do they mention they're in Seattle? I don't even know. I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
they have an ugly Seattle sign.
Oh, okay. Well, so I didn't even remember that, and I just saw it the other night.
Brad, do you remember the first time you saw it?
I don't. I know I saw it in the theater. I don't have any specific recollection. I remember going to see it. It would have been right before I graduated from college, actually.
Yeah, same for me. I'm like, I know I saw it in the theater, and yet I'm thinking, okay, this came out obviously in April. I don't remember where. I was I still in school? Had I graduated? I don't remember. I probably went and saw it at the mall in Gainesville, Florida. And I would have seen it because I was a fan of John Cusack at the time, and not
always loved him.
Yeah, and I probably went to see this more because of him than because of Cameron Crowe. These days, I would probably more likely see a movie because of Cameron Crowe, not because of John Cusack.
Wait a minute. What do we just decide?
I think that we should stop going out on dates.
Oh, I feel like a dick.
Chicago Sun-Times film critic Roger Ebert, who I like to quote on the blog a lot, because he reviewed so many movies of this era.
It was his job.
But he went on the record, and you can read almost all his reviews online. He called it, quote, one of the best films of the year, a film that is really about something, that cares deeply about the issue it contains, and yet it also works wonderfully as a funny, warm-hearted romantic comedy, unquote. And he later included it in, I guess he did a list back in 2002 of like the great movies of all time. And he gave it the honor of including it here as well and said, quote, this movie exists entirely in a real world, is not a fantasy or a pious parable, and it has characters who we recognize, is directed with care for the human feelings involved. And maybe that's why maybe that's what gives this movie a little bit of its staying power over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like I said, I think it's an honest look at what people are really like at that age. I mean, everybody in this movie, well, I shouldn't say everybody, the two main characters in this movie just get terrible advice from everybody around them. But it's all very well-meaning, and it's just completely misdirected. And from, 25 years later, you can look back and go, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. But when you're 19, 18, you don't know. You haven't made that mistake yet.
I just think you should break up with him.
Unbelievable. This is nightmare.
Diane, you owe it to yourself to get on that plane with no attachments, no strings, because after you get over there, things are going to change. People change.
Dad, you and I have talked about this. Lloyd and I have talked about this. Believe me, this is well-covered territory.
Diane, I'm not asking you to sever all relations with the boy. Give him a present. Here. Let him know you still care. Give him this pen.
Pen. Dad, in a million years, I would never give him a pen.
Carol, when you first saw this movie, did any of the characters influence you in any way?
Well, I did not like Diane. I could not stand her. Lloyd was genuine, vulnerable, so lovable and real. That's why he's every girl's favorite boyfriend.
More so than Jake Ryan?
Oh, no, Jake Ryan's... Ugh.
Oh my gosh, I agree with somebody on this topic.
There's nothing exciting about Jake Ryan.
Nice car.
Nice car.
Yeah, okay.
His family's got a lot of money.
I do love the Porsche.
Brad, did you associate with any of the characters in this movie?
Yeah, no, sorry.
You know who
Bad
you were in
answer.
this movie? I know who Brad was in this movie. You're Jason Gould. You're the kid who's passed out in the bathroom that they have to drive home.
Mike Cameron.
That's my house.
Mike Cameron with the big fuzzy red hair.
Yeah, that's Barbara Streisand's son. So.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Right.
You see him again, and you'll see him again in Prince of Tides. But it's funny. That's a great little piece there. I love the bit.
We hope, man.
Yeah, I love the little bit parts in this movie, like the Eric Stoltz, figure at the party, or Jeremy Piven being, one of his buddies and stuff like that. I mean, just
you must chill.
Well, I love the connection that John Cusack and Jeremy Piven have, being in so many movies together. I mean, you look for them when they're in a film.
Have they had a bit of a falling out?
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's been going on for several years, and I'm not so sure what it's about. I think it might have come about during the time when Piven was really on top of the world with HBO's Entourage.
Yeah.
But
that's too bad.
So let me ask you this: so when was the last time you saw this movie?
Prior to 2 days ago?
No. Just I mean, you saw it 2 days ago, then, right?
Yeah.
Do you see the movie differently today, 25 years later, now that you're an adult and you're a father?
I think so. I mean, it's not. What was the? I've been on the record now several times saying that I think Footloose is really about Reverend Shaw Moore, but I don't think I can say that about Say Anything. I mean, I kind of appreciate the perspective of the father, but I think, again, he's giving his daughter terrible advice. It's very self-serving. I think he wants the best for her, but the way he goes about it is, I don't know. I mean, I know it's a movie and you got to tell the story quickly, so there's not a lot of nuance in it.
Does the scene where Diane Court tells her dad about what happened the night before, when she, basically finally gets around to admitting that she and Lloyd had sex, does that scene freak either one of you out?
I spent the night with him.
Lloyd?
Dad, yes. And I'm scared to death of what you must think of me right now.
Did he ever get rough with you?
Dad, no. But I didn't want any problems, so I decided not to sleep with him. But then I attacked him anyway. It always feels good to tell you the truth. Because if I can't share it with you, it's almost like it didn't happen.
I was taking notes while I watched this movie because I knew we were doing the podcast. And when she said, it always feels good to tell you the truth, I wrote down, sweet Jesus, oh daughter of mine, do not tell me that truth.
Well, I think the dad's just manipulative.
Yeah, he is.
He is so...
But does he do anything?
Ruins the movie for me now.
I mean, I don't know that it's not
Completely
coming
ruins
from
it.
Again, I think he wants what's best for his daughter, but the way he goes about it, as you say, he's very manipulative.
No, but do you think? I think that scene's. Aside from his legal problems and stuff, I don't think there's anything. I don't think any of that has to do with that scene. To me, I look at that scene and I'm like, that's how it probably would go down.
God, I hope not.
I mean, I could see my parent. I never went and told my parents anything like that. I never said I had sex last night to them. I don't think I ever clued them in as to when that moment happened.
Yeah.
1984. Thompson Twins, hold me now. In any case. But I imagine it would go down something like, if I didn't come home and I was supposed to be home, I can imagine they would be awake and yelling at me and demanding the truth. And then me,
Yeah, I mean, that part does ring true.
Probably
Like,
still not telling them.
Do you realize how worried I've been? No, of course they don't realize how worried you've been. They're all having a good time.
I would hope that they know that as a parent. I mean, 'cause I think his reaction to finding out that she's told him the truth. Yeah, I had sex last night with Lloyd. He doesn't blow up at her. I mean, you could tell that he's bothered, but he's also kind of relieved and disturbed that she told him the truth. I think it's a beautiful scene.
I agree with what you're saying. He reacts in a way that is blowing up isn't going to. It's not going to change it. It's happened. So, move forward.
Yeah, but from then on, he does try to ruin the relationship.
Well, he's not been a fan from day one.
No.
Well, what's best for, let's face it. Even then, didn't you know the right thing for Diane Court to do is to go to England on that fellowship? I mean, didn't you know that the right thing was for her to not be with Lloyd?
Well, I don't know if that's clear.
You really want? I kind of was like,
I mean, they're from different worlds. Yes. I mean, it's an opposites attract kind of story. Is there a long term there? I don't know. I mean, we can speculate about that later.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
It had the right ending.
I mean, he brings her out of her shell. By taking her to that party. One of the things I noticed, people will say, "Oh, Lloyd, he was an outsider. He was a rebel or whatever." Everybody at that party knows him. He's not an outsider. Everyone's happy to see him. Yeah, everyone's happy to see him. They trust him. She was the outsider. Yeah, exactly. And by going to that party them going to that party together worked well for both of them. It brought her into this world that she never otherwise wouldn't have seen, and it gave him like, whoa, she came with you? Wow. Yeah.
I think when I saw it, I mean, obviously, I think I gravitated more towards Lloyd, because here's this guy who I can guarantee you in high school I was not like Lloyd. I didn't like wear my heart on my sleeve. I think that's something that's more of a recent thing for me. And certainly in the last 10 years of doing this. Says the man who's been divorced twice. Results vary.
Results vary. Your mileage may vary. Past performance is no indication of future results.
I feel better about myself being like that. And I look at Lloyd. I'm like, well, I think he's a good character. I think he's a good role model to a certain extent for guys to aspire to be.
He's honest about where he's coming from and what his intentions are.
And I love the courage.
Cool but vulnerable. Yeah, but vulnerable.
And the courage to ask out Diane Court. I mean, God's sakes, man. Yeah. The huevos, just really impressive. But then towards the end of the movie, I'm like, oh, man, just let her go. I mean, she's...
He sincerely loves her.
Oh, I know. I just can't.
Well, but remember the line, did you need me or did you just need somebody? And he's like, don't answer that question. Don't answer that question.
It was so honest. I love that part.
I love you.
What question? You're here because you need someone or because you need me? Forget it. I don't care.
She didn't need him. She needed somebody.
I think that's true. I think that's true. So here's another thing I noticed when I was watching the movie is there's a lot, is made of Lloyd's female friends. Is it? Oh gosh, no,
Corey and DC.
There's only like 2 scenes where the 3 of them are hanging out, and they're pretty short.
I could almost see a prequel to this movie where you get to see more about them.
We'd
learn something about Joe.
Yeah. We get to hear the whole Joe story. Joe, except for that Joe lies.
Like Ashley.
It's a dark movie. When I was watching it, I started watching it last night, and I tried to get through it, and I was struggling. Because I just forgot how ridiculously dark it is. I mean...
Well, why do you say that?
I think everyone... I mean, there's a darkness to Lloyd. His parents aren't there. He's living with his sister. There's obviously a darkness to Diane's dad.
Maybe that's why I bought it. I mean, maybe that's why I enjoyed the movie so much, is it seemed like, everybody has stuff they're dealing with, right? So that makes it a little more honest.
Corey's got Joe, I mean...
DC doesn't get to talk.
DC doesn't get to talk.
Never let me talk.
So it just goes on and on. It is a dark It's a dark movie. It's got one of the darkest breakup scenes known to mankind. I mean, it's not a quick execution. It's a slow insertion of a knife into the heart.
Yeah, she doesn't know she's doing it though. That's the thing. I don't think she realizes she's breaking up with him until she's halfway through it.
What did we just decide? What?
Yeah.
I know.
Remember when we did the breakup show on Stuck in the 80s? I remember thinking, okay, we need 5 breakup scenes from the 80s. I'm like, so basically the one from Say Anything and 4 others.
Let's see. I mean, you could almost do the top 5 John Cusack ones. You need someone that drives a nicer car, more popular.
Yeah, Better Off Dead would have been. You could almost do a top 5 John Cusack ones. Yeah. Hey, that which begs the question. Which I know
doesn't beg the question.
I know.
It does not
Brad
beg the question.
hates that phrase.
I hate it when it's used incorrectly. It raises the question.
Where do you rank Say Anything among your personal list of John Cusack films?
Number 2.
Wow, what's number 1?
I like High Fidelity.
Yeah, I like High Fidelity too.
High Fidelity is number 1.
Yeah, that's my number 1.
Number 2.
But are we talking 80s or all time? So.
All time.
Let's go all time. Open it up.
John Cusack.
High Fidelity, Say Anything, Serendipity, Better Off Dead.
Serendipity? That's terrible.
Say that. Take that back.
I will not.
You're in timeout, young lady.
Okay, a few
Grifters?
years.
Oh, he's great in the Grifters.
Last year, Cusack turned 47, and I did a ranking of his top 47 movies.
Oh, cool.
You know where Serendipity was?
48.
46.
Would you put Stand By Me below it just because it's only in it for 30 seconds?
Stand By Me.
You never saw it with your fiance then, so.
I don't even think Stand By
Me. No, God, I saw that with Katie. It is so dippy.
Oh, it's bad. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It really is.
Number 1, I put High Fidelity. Number 2, Better Off Dead. Number 3, Say Anything. And then after that, it was The Sure Thing, True Colors, 8 Men Out, Grosse Point Blank, Tapeheads, Max, and The Grifters.
You put Tapeheads above The Grifters?
I didn't care for The Grifters that much. That being said, it's still number 10.
I like The Grifters. So, did you notice when he's driving around in Seattle in Say Anything that on one of the theater marquees is Tapeheads?
I did see that. How cool is that?
I thought that was a nice little touch.
45th and Guild.
Oh.
Jeez.
So what's your list, Brad?
Oh, so now I have to actually come up with a list. I think I would put High Fidelity at the top. It surprised me how much I like that movie. You're going to hate me for this, but I think Hot Tub Time Machine's probably in the top 10 too.
That's fine. I don't hate you for that.
Yeah, it's not a good movie, but I watch it an awful lot.
Great White Buffalo.
Great White Buffalo. Here, this is my serendipity. America's Sweethearts. I'll watch that anytime it's on.
Whoa,
I find that movie really funny. I find that movie very funny. I think
everyone's got their
blind spots. I think it's the Billy Crystal character just kills me. He is so Hollywood. It's just perfect.
I feel bad for putting The Sure Thing at number 4.
You should. It's not a great movie.
What? It's okay. It should be higher.
It's okay.
Maybe
let's see. True Colors, Grifters, Say Anything, Better Off Dead. I don't think we can put 16 Candles in there because he's such a minor character there. But
yeah, he's great for the minutes he's there. But so that's good. Just Drew, who was on a lot of the most recent shows when we were doing our Soundtrack Madness tournament, he had a great suggestion for the show. He wanted us to do the top 5 Lloyd Dobler metaphysical rantings from the movie. So I took a little time last night, and I'm ready to present the top 5 Lloyd Dobler metaphysical rantings. Here we go.
Number 5. Look, I know you're busy. You don't have to entertain me, but you can trust me. I'll tell you a couple things about myself. I'm 19. I've been overseas for a couple semesters. Now I'm back. I'm an athlete, so I rarely drink. Kickboxing. You ever heard of kickboxing? Sport of the future? Don the Dragon Wilson, Benny the Jet Urquidez, Murray Smith, some of the champions of the sport. I can see by your face, no. My point is you can relax because your daughter will be safe with me for the next 7 to 8 hours, sir.
Number 4.
I'm not going to go to Seattle Junior College. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something bigger, you know? I'm looking for a dare-to-be-great situation.
Lloyd, everybody in that party put something on their record except you.
How many of them really know what they want, though? I mean, a lot of them think that they have to know, right? But inside, they don't really know, so... I don't know. But I know that I don't know.
Hang tough, Lloyd.
Number 3. You don't like old people, do you?
Me? Sure I do.
Come on.
Well, except for one thing. I used to work at a smorgasbord, and, you know, the old people would flock there, and they loved to eat. And they just jammed their mouths, you know, and they just would eat with their mouths open. And to be honest, it's just too much for me. I mean, you know, you get to be thinking about how short life is and how maybe everything has no meaning because you wake up and then you're frying burgers and then you're like 60 and 70 and then, you know, you check out and, you know, what are you doing? And I just don't need to think about those kind of things. So that's the reason I was... But I'm not sure I'm right about any of that.
I think that's ageism. And that's being prejudiced against people because they're old. Maybe their mouths don't work as well as yours.
Really? Well, you're really turning me around here. I was looking at it the wrong way, I think.
Number 2.
I'm not going to be somebody like Diane courted a kegger. I mean, this girl was different, man. When we go out, we wouldn't even have to go out, you know? We just hang out. The girl made me trust myself, man. I was walking around, I was feeling satisfied. Can you imagine that? And then she cuts me loose. I don't know why. She won't tell me why. Who knows the real reason? Maybe it's because of her father. I don't know. She won't talk to me. Won't look at me.
Come on! Christ, Lloyd, what is up? Get out of your head! Boy, chill, man.
Number 1.
I thought about this quite a bit, sir, and I would have to say, considering what's waiting out there for me, I don't want to sell anything, buy anything, or process anything as a career. I don't want to sell anything bought or processed, or buy anything sold or processed, or process anything sold, bought, or processed, or repair anything sold, bought, or processed. You know, as a career, I don't want to do that. So, my father's in the Army. He wants me to join, but I can't work for that corporation. So what I've been doing lately is kickboxing, which is a new sport, but I think it's got a good future. As far as career longevity, I don't really know because, you know, you can't really tell. If you're 8 and 6 as a fighter, you know, it's no good. You know, you have to be great, but I can't really tell if I'm great until I've had a couple of pro fights. But I haven't been knocked down yet. I don't know, I can't figure it all out tonight, sir. I'm just going to hang with your daughter.
Everybody agree on number 1 there being the bought, processed, or sold one?
Yeah, that's your clear front runner.
Yeah.
It's totally connected to the movie. You can't miss that.
So I read somewhere this week that John Cusack had kind of written that out himself as part of, he was trying to understand the character, and he's like, what does this guy stand for? And that's something that he had kind of come up with.
I don't want to buy anything.
Buy, sell, process.
Yeah, that was some sort of a character essay that he came up with, and that Crow later inserted into the film.
Yeah. Do you remember the scene with the lawyers, the plea deal scene?
Yeah.
I did not remember that at all, and that's hilarious. They're sitting at this desk eating McDonald's, like, oh, no time and $25,000. No, we'll never take that. How about 12 months and $80,000? Oh, how about 6 months? And it's like it's over in 15 seconds. They've just determined the outcome of this guy's life. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it happens just like that.
I'm sure it does.
Over McDonald's.
99-cent Big Macs.
Yeah, and large fries.
Did anyone ever attend a party like that in high school? Seriously?
I wasn't invited to that kind of party.
You know, I broke up with
It was crazy.
Yeah, I broke up with a girlfriend right before graduation, or she broke up with me, I guess. And we were both invited to some big graduation party. And I just felt like I couldn't go because of that. Like, I knew she was going to be there, and I just didn't want the drama.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to ruin it for her. I wanted her to have fun. And so I remember my parents
deciding not to go.
Yeah, my parents basically saying, "So, you got a couple big parties you're going to go to?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I think what I basically did was I went out in my car and I drove around for a couple of hours, and then I came home. and just went to bed.
Was it a big Chevy Malibu?
It was a white.
No, it was a white Mustang.
White Mustang, but it was. I think I drove by the party, and I saw that her car was there, and I'm like, okay, and I just. So I spent my high school graduation night by myself.
High school grad. Have I talked about this? Our grad night at our high school in California, the parents did a big thing for us, and it was because somebody years ago, and I know you were kidding me about this, somebody years ago had died in a drunk driving accident on grad night. And so there was some foundation set up, and they did a big party for the seniors at the school, and you got locked in, basically. You couldn't leave or whatever. So the thing I remember most about it is leaving the next morning as I'm walking across the parking lot, I had this total sense that this door was closing behind me, this part of, no, not a bad way. Like, this is like, this part of my life is over. I'm on to the next thing. And I know earlier in the podcast I said, the year you graduate from high school, that summer, you're still a high schooler. But I felt like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm ready to do something else now. Let's see what it is.
Did you go to a party like that, Carol?
No.
I don't know if parties like that really exist unless you have really neighbors that are a really long ways away. Because the cops are getting called if it's that noisy all night long.
Yeah. It's sad. It is sad. But you know what else can make us happy? The Seggies. The Mystical Refrain and Reader Mailbag. Hey, a few weeks ago we challenged the listeners of Stuck in the 80s. Hey, if you want to host or co-host a metal show with us, email us your credentials because, to be honest, Brad and I are not metal fans.
Rock on, bro.
Carol, are you a metal fan?
No. I would say no.
It would have shocked me if you said yes. So we got a few emails, and the emails continue to pour in, including one from Bruce in the Berg. You got time to read it, Brad?
Oh, I have got all day to read Reader Mailbag. Although it's listener mailbag, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I know. Tradition. Back to the letter. Stephen Brad, Bruce begins. Been a loyal listener since the Gina days through daily and now to current day. I love the podcast and was even more excited to see that you're opening up your horizons to a series on metal in the 80s. I know all genres of metal and can offer a lot of commentary and insight into the best of the 80s. I know my stuff, Steve. Come on, let's crank it to 11 and start banging some heads. You're a loyal listener forever stuck in the 80s, Bruce in the Berg.
I'd listen to that show.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, Bruce in St. Petersburg. Yeah, that's pretty good. The other one we got, very unusual. See, I see an email in there the other day, and it's got an attachment, which usually is always bad news.
That means tears.
But this one's from Dave Dirt, who actually recorded his own letter to us. It goes on for about 4 minutes, so be patient, but it's entertaining nonetheless. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Dave Dirt.
Mr. Spearsy, Mr. in LA, other distinguished co-hosts and hangers-on and passers-by. Just wanted to drop my name in the hat for the honor of co-hosting the hair metal podcast you guys were talking about. I was so excited whenever you brought that up. As soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, I gotta call him. Anyway, back in the 80s, man, metal was my life. All I did was metal related. From the time that I heard Ride the Lightning from Metallica, I just grabbed a hold and just took everything in, soaked it in like a sponge. Which was a bit difficult, seeing how I grew up in the middle of nowhere in southwest Missouri. It's kind of hard to get a hold of stuff, but anytime I could get a hold of a circus magazine or Hit Parade or anything like that, I just scour the pages for new bands and stuff to look up, and did a good amount of tape trading for my cousins and his cousins, and just everybody we could think of that had any sort of metal. And most of it was at first was a lot of the heavier stuff, but then as soon as radio got a hold of hair metal and the poppier stuff, that was most of what we ended up getting. Just anything from Doc and Rat Crew, all the mainstream stuff, Warrant Winger, Slaughter, all that kind of good stuff, all the way down to the really more obscure stuff, Shotgun Messiah, Pretty Boy Floyd, Taiketo, stuff like that. My very first concert was actually in 1990. was after our beloved decade was over. But, hey, like I said, nothing ever came down that way. So, but I finally got to go to Springfield, Missouri, and see Alice Cooper and Danger, Danger. Yes, my very first concert experience, the first time I ever laid eyes on a live band. They were truly a hair metal footnote. Anyway, I also fell in love with all sorts of shredders. Anybody who could play a million notes a second was a huge hero of mine. Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, especially Yngwie Malmsteen was huge. You know, my mother was classically trained, so he really appealed to me because he played basically just Bach at a million miles. I never could play any of that stuff. I was more of a drummer at the time. I mean, I was still a drummer, but I wasn't nearly as into the guitar back then. I just loved to hear it and loved to imagine that someday I'd be able to play it. Of course, that never happened, but hey, whatever. But yeah, we did have a little high school band. It was kind of hard to do because there wasn't many people down there, so basically it was myself and my cousin and whoever the hell we could find that could pluck a bass string once or twice. We actually got to do one show ever in high school. Our principal actually called an assembly and let us perform 5 or 6 songs in front of what was it, grades 7 through 12, which was just awesome. We loved that. My girlfriend not so much because all the senior hot girls were up against the stage yelling for me, but that's another story. Anyway, I would be absolutely honored to take part in a podcast about hair metal if you guys would have me. I don't know if you guys have chosen anybody or not already, but even if you have, I'd be up for just doing anything, really. If you need a recorded piece or anything like that, I'd be up for that. Anyway, thanks for your consideration, and I hope to hear from you soon. In the meantime, I will be here, stuck in the world of 80s metal. See ya.
What do you think, guys? I think we have a pair of good guest co-hosts now.
We've got a lot of candidates.
Bruce in the Berg and Dave Dirt. You have officially been dubbed as future co-hosts for our metal shows.
Woohoo!
We'll see how that turns out. As always, you can send your emails. And hey, if you want to record your letter to us, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you can just do it and just attach it as a...
Why do you want to hear me read it? You can listen to yourself read it.
It's sit80s@gmail.com or bradinthe80s@gmail.com. And Brad's always happy when he gets emails sent to him.
It does make me happy. It takes so little.
Yeah, and then StephenE's@gmail.com. Hey, before we leave Reader Mailbag, something else that we mentioned in the last show, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I'm really surprised by the turnout we've gotten. Brad, you had told a story about a friend, right, who had a high school...
Yeah, who basically picked a song and picked poorly and regrets it to this day.
So back in high school, at his school, they asked people, pick a song to put beneath your name and your photo in the yearbook.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So, and what did he pick?
He was trying to decide between Don't You Forget About Me and the theme from St. Elmo's Fire, and it wouldn't be a story if he hadn't picked St. Elmo's Fire.
We had asked fans of the show to write in or to leave us a message on Facebook with what they would pick, because it seems like almost nobody went to a school that also had this tradition, which I think is a cool tradition. I would totally be in favor of it, other than the fact that it sets you up for a Man in Motion, bonehead move 25 years later.
One more thing to regret. I should have asked Diane Court out, and what was I thinking with the Man in Motion thing?
So we did ask people. Here are some of our favorite answers. Lisa Barefoot from the class of 1987 would have picked Careless Memories from Duran Duran. Rick Vetters from the class of 1985, Can't Hardly Wait from The Replacements. Good one.
Nice.
Marissa, everyone knows Marissa, class of 1983, Styx's Best of Times. Excellent pick.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
D. Page, who graduated in 1987, Notorious by Duran Duran.
You mean No.
Notorious.
Notorious.
I'd love to hear the story about why she would pick that song. Robert Jordan picked The Ties That Bind by Bruce Springsteen. Bass Note, class of 1985. It's Gonna Get Better by Genesis. Good pick. Steve Ramos, class of 88. Devil Inside by In Excess.
That's an interesting pick.
Bill with 1L, who graduated in 1987. I Wanna Be Somebody by Wasp. Wow. That's pretty. Another hard headbanger here. Michael Roche, class of 85. In My Dreams by Dokken.
Nice.
Hello. Ann Downey Wright, who actually went to high school with me, graduated the same year, class of 85, Countryside, represent. Mad World by Tears for Fears. I could totally see. Yeah, I can totally see her picking that song too. Tina Kurtos, class of 1987. Keep Your Hands to Yourself. What the hell is that about?
Don't give me no lines. You keep your hands to yourself.
I don't want to know.
I kind of do want to know. John Stolik, class of 1993. Ordinary World by Duran Duran. Duran Duran's a popular pick. Christine McDonald at 1987. Hip to Be Square by Huey Lewis.
Okay.
God, some of these names are. This one's gonna be hard. I don't know if I can get to this one.
You got it.
Anna Marie Scaparato Canarado.
How about just Anna Marie?
Anna Marie. 1986. Boys of Summer by Don Henley. Interesting.
Excellent.
Keith Mackey, 1985. What About Me by Moving Pictures.
Oh, Keith. Oh, no.
I like that. That's a good pick. What about me?
It's such a sad sack song.
It is. He's going for my
I know. He's horning in on your territory, man.
Eeyore, Keith. That's me.
How many Eeyores does this country need?
Yeah.
The class of 85.
Stuart O'Neill. Wouldn't It Be Good by Nick Kershaw. That's good.
I love that song.
And Gabriel Daigle, Freedom of Choice by Devo.
Gabriel, you're the man.
So
what?
Hey, that's not. I'm not Gabriel Daigle in disguise. Gabriel Daigle is an actual human being.
I'm sure he's a man
with feelings.
Carol, since you weren't part of this, Carol, what songs would you have picked, or what song?
Well, I graduated long ago in 1981, so that was the year of Betty Davis Eyes, Endless Love, Kiss on My List. But our senior class went to Disneyland. I don't know if they still do that, but Kool and the Gang was there singing Celebration.
That's
awesome. That's kind of my connection to high school.
Huh. That's a good one.
I think they brought back grad night at Disneyland. They stopped doing it for a couple of years, but I think they're doing it again.
They got rid of it at Disney World over here where I live, but they may have brought it back. I don't care. So I'm done with it.
Yeah. Want to stay all night? Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I was so beat at the end of that night. Brad, I know. Did you pick one last week? What'd you pick?
I think I kind of off the cuff. I went with "Through Being Cool" by Devo, which I'm going to stand on that one. But I'd also throw out, and I probably wouldn't have picked this then, so maybe this is not in the spirit of it. But I started listening to the Adam Ant album Prince Charming a lot this last year, and there's the first song on that, Scorpios. That's actually very similar in theme to "Through Being Cool." Like, we're not gonna conform to your standards of what's cool and what isn't. It's kind of anyway. It's a cool song, great trumpet line. I'm a sucker for a good brass line. And then, of course, it goes without saying, "Private Dancer" by Tina Turner.
You're gonna pick "Private Dancer" as your yearbook?
It's a joke. Come on.
No,
I don't know. I don't
Fred
know.
Garvin. Male.
Yeah. It's just a joke, Steve.
It's a joke. Come on, man.
I don't think
just kidding.
I didn't pick one last week. I don't think, or if I did, I don't remember what it was. Thinking about it since then, I think I might pick "Things Can Only Get Better" by Howard Jones, which came out that same year. "Live Every Moment" by REO Speedwagon. "My Own Way" by Duran Duran.
Man, you're going to slit your wrists.
Or "Destination Unknown" by Missing Persons.
No Life in One Day or something more upbeat
this
there?
This is Spearsy.
I know.
What makes Spearsy cry?
Just
high
about
school songs.
Our new 10-part series. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hey, y'all, I got a great new album in the mail today.
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Take a deep breath.
Yes, the legendary Hey Love collection is back.
You got me going in circles.
These are the original sounds of sexy soul.
Oh, round and round I go. Hypnotized.
40 classic soul ballads.
You got me hypnotized.
Get Hey Love on 2 CDs or 2 cassettes. Order with your credit card and get a free bonus album of slow jams.
If you stay, darling.
That's 3 albums, 50 hits.
Hey there, lonely girl, lonely girl. Mrs. Jones.
So remember, order with your credit card and get 3 beautiful soul albums.
This is a fantastic album, man. Let me borrow it.
No, my brother. You've got to buy your own.
Call 1-800-792-3993 to order Hey Love for $29.99 for 2 CDs or 2 cassettes. Use your credit card and receive a free bonus CD or cassette. Or send $29.99 plus $4.99 shipping and handling to Hey Love, Department 4, Richmond, Virginia, 23280.
Excellent pick for commercial. That's Carol Jansen's pick. Why'd you pick that, Carol?
Well, it was quoted in the movie.
Yes, it was.
My brother.
My brother. Apparently, it was played or overplayed so much that they grabbed onto that in the film.
Yeah, one of the lines of that scene that really bothered me was his sister saying, "Why can't you be his uncle instead of being his buddy?" I'm like, he's his uncle. He should be his buddy.
That's what an uncle is.
Yeah. Right. It's not his dad.
Yeah. Obviously, there's some stuff going on there.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Joan Cusack was she appears uncredited in that movie.
She's not credited?
Nope.
That's weird.
She had a lot of speaking parts there.
Yeah.
How did they get away with that? I wouldn't think that the union would allow it.
Well, I think for whatever that means, or maybe she doesn't appear in the opening credits or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I read it somewhere on the internet, so I'm sure it's true.
Obviously, it's true.
The interwebs. It's all true.
Carol, did you say you had one more piece of...
Yeah, I just had a question. Everyone has their one love song, you know. Why didn't Diane get up out of bed when she heard Lloyd playing that? That was the song. She stopped the moment in the car and said...
Yeah, she said, just listen to this. It's a good song.
Listen to this song. I love this song.
Yeah, I had forgotten that. That's an important moment in the movie.
She said that she loved that. And that's why he picked that song, whether it was Fishbone or whatever.
Yeah.
But he picked that to play on the boombox. That was to connect back to that moment with her. Why wouldn't she get up out of bed and look out the window?
Why do we do anything?
Well, so you're saying women.
She was conflicted.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's trying to please her.
You know
father.
what? There's something because there's
manipulated.
There's something inherently creepy about playing music outside a girl's window. That's what it is. So
well, now
her creep alert went off.
I think she was just overcome with sadness. I mean, she was just like, "Oh, I remember that, and I just can't."
The movie would have ended 20 minutes early.
Her dad came in and closed the window.
When we did the Say Anything show the first time around, 10 years ago, did I tell the story about singing a song outside a girl's window?
You have told it, but you didn't on that show.
Oh, okay. Because I did that one time.
Tell us again.
I'll tell the creepiness factor, and you'll see it right away. In fact, it's the girl that I broke up with that caused me the girl that broke up with me that caused me not to go to my high school graduation party. I went to her window, I guess that summer after graduation, and I learned to play Good Feeling by Violent Femmes.
Okay.
I learned to sing it. My friend played it. So
Is that Julie?
That was, no, it wasn't Julie. That was Erica. So Erica lived next door to my best friend at the time. And so we drank many beers. I learned to sing the song. He played it. And so we went to her window and knocked on the window. She didn't answer. Knocked on the window. She didn't answer.
It's a train wreck.
And we're like, this is ridiculous. So he's like, she's awake. Just sing it. So we started playing it. And then suddenly the window curtains fly open. And the window comes up. She's like, Erica's not here. It was her sister was sleeping in the room. Her older sister.
Shut up, Brad. I think that's romantic.
So
the outcome is foreordained, Carol. That's exactly how that was going to work. I mean, Lloyd Dobler gave thousands, millions of men false hope that would ever work.
Well,
it's the only time it's ever worked.
Yeah, and so this was obviously 1985, so it was before the movie even came out. But it was like a noble effort that was
You're
thwarted.
ahead of your time.
You were an original.
I wasn't.
Well, it's kind of Cyrano de Bergerac of you.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Everybody has to try that once and fail at it, and then so everybody needs that story in their collection, and that's mine. So everyone, because this is the silver anniversary of the movie, everyone's asking, and so we will too. What do you think became of Lloyd and Diane 25 years later? Are they still together, or what are they doing separately?
I have a feeling that Lloyd is processing, selling, or buying something.
He's selling insurance.
Maybe.
Probably damn good at it too.
Yeah, he probably is. He's like Ned Ryerson.
He found his Dare to Be Great situation.
That was a good one, Brad.
Dare to Be Great situation's life insurance.
You know what? He would be really good at someone that empathetic.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a really good salesperson in spite of his desire to not do so. He sold himself to Diane Court. That was a long shot.
Carol, what do you think?
I think Diane would move on. I think she needed him then when she was, the outcast in high school. Nobody knew her. And so he was a connection back to, the social scene. But I think she moved on. Despite how lovable he is. I think he's totally lovable and real. But
what do you think she's doing today?
She's teaching comparative literature in some small liberal arts school.
I think she's working on MS projects.
Yeah, bite your tongue. So, do you know, or do you have friends that are married that met in high school? Let me just come at it a different way. I can think of one couple that we know that they met in high school.
Yes, I do.
So I just think I would. The romantic in me, I know, hard to believe. The romantic in me would like to believe that they're still together, but it seems like a long shot because they're so different. And I think Carol hit it that, they kind of needed each other where they were then, but depending on how they grow, Lloyd's single-minded focus on taking care of her might not be enough.
Yeah.
I don't think they made it past Christmas break, personally. But they needed each other for as long as they'll be with each other as long as they need each other, and the moment that they don't, they move on.
But I don't think, I don't know how will Lloyd go into a tailspin again and find himself back at the gas and sip, which I can't believe we haven't talked about that scene.
All you gotta do is find a girl that looks just like her, nail her, and then dump her, man. Get her off your mind. Your only mistake is that you didn't dump her first. Diane Court is a show pony. You need a stallion, my friend. Walk with us and you walk tall. Walk tall, my man.
You know what happens?
Is that what happens when they break up? I don't know.
You know what happens? I guarantee. Here, I got it. I'm the first person who knows the answer to this question. Okay, so yeah, they break up, but 25 years later, class reunion in Seattle. Dun dun. They get back together. They do the horizontal.
No.
They sleep with each other. Yeah, I'm saying right now.
In the Malibu?
Maybe not. No, in their hotel room at the Holiday
Inn
Express. The Holiday Inn Express, baby. I'm telling you, they rekindle their romance at the high school reunion.
Are they married? Are they divorced? Are they?
I'll say one of them's married and one of them is divorced, but that it's just a one-off. It's just a quickie affair, and then they don't.
No.
Yeah, sorry. It's dirty. It's be dirty. And amazingly, probably Peter Gabriel's song is probably still playing in the background when they do it.
Yeah, Diane never got married.
No?
No.
No, I guarantee you she's married. She's the one who's married with kids. It's Lloyd who got married and is divorced.
What do you think, America?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
They turned off the show 5 minutes ago.
That they could possibly be together, but I don't think they are.
They're not.
The reunion hookup. That's intriguing. That's intriguing.
Because I think they would both go to the reunion, and I think that they would.
Lloyd was super popular. He would have no reason not to. If anybody wouldn't go, it would be her.
Yeah, but she would go because she had that real positive experience at that one last party, and
dying to see him again.
Kind of depends on how the 10-year reunion went.
The 10-year reunion went badly. It always went, and probably only one of them went to it. So,
okay,
I'm going to write a whole book about this. No one will buy it. Just like all the other book ideas I come up with that no one would buy.
Well, then don't waste too much time writing it. Then just make it a pamphlet.
No, that's it. That's my lot in life. So anyway, 25 years later, Say Anything still resonates to some degree. It still causes plenty of jokes. We still fear of giving our heart and getting a pen in return. Carol, it's always a joy to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So we'll leave you here in the great unknown of the future of Lloyd and Diane. If you think you know, email us.
Tell us what you think happened.
Email us at sit80s@gmail.com or drop it on Facebook. And in the meantime, along with Lloyd, Diane, and Mr. Court, we remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a class of 85 production. Please listen responsibly. Score! Come on, shoot! Oh, come on. Ah! Stupid Sunderland. They deserve to lose.
Turn off the television, Brad.
Okay.